people should watch the date markings. If you see any date markings that looks very suspicious, that looks like it's been robbed, part of it has been robbed and all that, please don't patronize such a product. People keep asking the question, so around this period, what does the Food and Drugs Board do? What are we doing? We are doing everything possible to ensure the Ghanaian consumer is protected. But remember that regulation of food safety is a shared responsibility. You have your role to play, I have my role to play. We believe very much that if we give you enough information, such that if we don't, because virtually we cannot be following every Ghanaian when you go out shopping. Okay, to tell you buy this, don't buy that, buy this, don't buy that. It's not possible. Okay, but when we give you that information, you can go out there when you're doing your purchases. And when you see these things, please don't just leave it and go away. Let somebody get to know that you observed what they're doing and they're doing the wrong thing. If someone has displayed a product that is close to expiry or has expired, draw the attention to the person. It could be genuine ignorance on the part of the person who is displaying the product for sale. Let the person know and let them also clear. When someone also comes to buy from you and they realize that the product has expired and they come to you as a retailer, be courteous enough to accept the responsibility. Replace the product. The person is not even telling you, I'm going to the police or I'm going to the Food and Drugs Authority to report and things like that. And so we want consumers to take this advice as they go out doing their purchase. And we believe that when we all work together, we'll provide the needed protection that the consumer needs. Irrespective of your financial situation, please, your life is paramount. You cannot put any premium on your health. Don't go and gamble with your health. If you do that, you have yourself to blame.
We're talking Christianity and mental health. Now, some of the teachings and practices in churches may inadvertently be driving some worshippers insane, even though their symptoms may not be close to as madness. The Christian Health Association of Ghana, in a collaboration with NGO Basic Need Ghana, has therefore begun engaging church leaders on some of these vulnerabilities and how they can, through their teachings, curb these incidents of mental illness.
Basic Needs Ghana, an NGO which has been involved in advocacy on mental illness for years, say 1 of 4 persons is likely to have a mental ailment, though the symptoms are often absent until much later. Interestingly, however, the country's psychiatrists, which should be attending to these latent cases, are congested whilst also battling with inadequate logistics, medicines and human resource. Among some of the practices Basic Needs Ghana believes are driving people to the edge include judgmental statements and self-denial.
Some argue that religious beliefs foster security of mind and mental stability that enables the believer to better withstand suffering and pain. Others assert, however, that religious beliefs can undermine mental health in ways that include generating excessive levels of guilt. It's your fault. Encouraging the unhealthy repression of anger. You are not supposed to be angry. Give all to God. And creating anxiety and fear with threats of punishment for sinful behavior. You will go to hell. And that means the second part is what we must all do to eliminate.
Basic Needs also says people resort to prayer camps because only 75 out of the 175 districts in Ghana have mental health facilities. The Christian Health Association of Ghana, at the brainstorming session, engaged the church leaders on how to raise awareness and make positive turnovers with congregants, explaining that the church's potential in reducing mental illness is the most ignored in all efforts.
What about that woman whose husband has died, who is grieving? What about that man whose wife has died, who is grieving? These are the subtle areas of mental health we don't seem to recognize, or even recognize that here's where the fundamental problem starts. What is happening to that child whose parents say they are so busy, they don't have time for that child? And now the child goes wayward and goes into drugs. We also realize that 10, 15, 20 million people in this country go to church. There must be a way in which we can support and contribute to this national crisis of mental health.
The session, christened Advocacy on Stigma and Discrimination on Mental Health, is an initiative of the Christian Health Association of Ghana, a collection of religious health service providers supported by the Department for International Development, DFID. Basic needs suggest, among others, basic mental health training for traditional healers and prayer camps.
Encouraging a strong sense of visitation, home visits, and interaction to understand, is it all well? And once we know that traditional healers dominate, we are not questioning whether your herbs work. If the person is violent and you don't have some tranquilizer for it to sedate the person, let the nearest community psychiatric unit help you rather than beat and chain and do all sort of abusive things, and continue with your prayers and medications or herbal treatment that you want to do. And I thought such facilities should also be used to spread the message. From that pie, the missing one is the religious bodies, isn't it?
At the end of this session, church leaders gathered are expected to outline policy initiatives as well as direct activities to extend mental health to their various churches, but most importantly, preventive measures. The program will be executed over a period of 5 years. For Joynews, Gifty Andopia, Accra.
I have Dr. Gilbert Bakhill in this. He's the Executive Director for the Christian Health Services Association. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now,
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Afisha pancha fantinimia. Afisa senior sinquem.
Afisa senior sinquem.
Good. Now, yeah, share. I'm speaking fancy.
You see.
Okay, let's look at mental illness or mental health. What is it? Don't give me the scientific thing. Just give me in a layman or simple English. What is it?
Okay, mental health, very simply put, is when you're looking at issues that will affect the way we think, the way we feel, the way we behave, basically. Most of these are situated in the mind. Most of the time, as against when I say you have hypertension and I use the SFIG and I check your BP, these are things that manifest in our attitudes, in our behaviors, in how we do things. That is the simplest way I can describe mental health. Things that have to do with feeling, inner things.
So how will you know there's something wrong with me mentally? If you see me, how will you know symptoms of it?
I will look for things which you are doing which are not characteristics of yourself. Let's say, for instance, I know you to be a very happy and a smiling person, like you are doing now. Now I see you are gloomy, you are sad. I know you to be a gentle person. Now I see you are aggressive. I know you not to be an abusive person. Now I see you walking around insulting people on the least things. I see you as a very well-dressed person. You look after yourself well. Now you leave the house, you haven't done your hair, you haven't done your makeup, your clothes are not ironed. These tell me or indicate that there's something wrong with you more on the mental aspect than physical. Now,
Christianity and mental health. We often find the famous statement, everything, you realize that, let me give you an example. Yes. I got married 2 weeks ago, happily with my husband. And then unfortunately he died. Right. And then the pastor and the church people came and said, God knows, and stuff. But I am mourning, and then it's affecting me mentally. Yes. How do we deal with it? But they are saying Famanyami. So it's like, let it go. And
Famanyami seems to be a very favorite Ghanaian slogan. It doesn't help us as a people. Even for as was shown in the clip, it's very, Famanyami, it's okay, leave it and let it be. I don't believe that even within the context of people, family, etc., it's about Famanyami. People grieve, people mourn, and people should be allowed to grieve and to mourn. So Fama Nyame, I think we put it out of context. Fama Nyame may be in the longer term, meaning be calm, relax. Whatever is happening to you will pass. That for me is the practical interpretation of that statement. But we have made that statement to the point where it limits us from actually giving support to people who need support. And that is where we believe that as church, as Christian organizations, we need to look at that aspect of support. Somebody is in need, you go and provide the support. In James, it says, show me your faith by what you do. Don't show me your faith by telling me God will do it. So if you are grieving, I'm expected to come to you. I'm expected to allow you to say what you want to say. I'm expected to console you. I'm expected to give you words of encouragement. It shouldn't be a matter of, oh, Fama Nyame, Bibia Beye.
But let's look at our churches now. You find out that maybe someone disappointed. I mean, he said they was going to marry me and I was disappointed, and then along the line something happened. My brain just got tortured, and I was taken to a church, a prayer camp. And then I'm tied by the wall, and then the pastor kings me, demons come out, they pray for me, and da. But, I mean, is that a point, is that the first point of call, taking the person to check, or having some medical intervention?
That is not, this is a major extremity which should not happen. It should not happen under any circumstance. If it is, like I said, mental health is about attitudes, behavior. Somebody gets into a relationship, the relationship goes wrong, the person responds and reacts, goes into what we call depression, very sad, very moody, doesn't want to talk, doesn't want to eat. These are normal signs and symptoms of a healthy individual who is responding to an emotional trauma. This is not spiritual, it is not demonic. It is a normal response.
No, but as you said, the reaction, funny hair,
Yes, it's a normal response. It's like you get malaria, your temperature goes up.
Yeah.
You get a broken heart, you don't look after yourself anymore. There's no motivation to dress well.
No, but pastors go on radio stations saying, if you are disappointed and you're going, come to my church, you pray for you, you be healed. But they go there, they are there days on ending, and then they're still the same.
Yes, I'm coming to that. So I'm just putting this out so we realize that these are normal responses of a healthy individual. So it is not appropriate, nor acceptable for people to be taken to so-called prayer camps to tell them you have to fast, which means they are denied food. They have to go under penance, so they will be beaten up and caned. That is totally unacceptable and not supposed to happen. And as part of the Christian Health Association of Ghana's work, this is what we're also engaging religious leaders about, to relook this historic position of taking people into prayer camps. But if somebody has a broken heart, engage them, talk to them, let them understand that it's not the end of the world. Let them grieve, let them mourn, show them the other aspects of life, that life will still continue, they will still live. Put the relationship into perspective for them and let them come out of it. And they will come out of it.
But Gilbert, let's look at where maybe you are the head of the family, you provide for your family and everything, the breadwinner of the house, and then along the line your business just went down the drain. And then, you take care of a whole lot of people, and then they come and say, we do it or something, and if you're and then you are depressed, then how do you deal with it? How do you come out of it?
It's about, the churches are powerful institutions. The average Ghanaian.
These are church members telling you if you're
that's what I'm saying. So we are trying to let the churches also appreciate that it's not about if you're nimpa. There is nothing wrong with losing your job and getting totally confused. It's a normal response. It's not if you're nimpa business. The churches should help people to manage their expectations, manage their challenges, manage their failures. Not brand and say, "Ayabansam, woma mibi, wunyana down no say no, wa down for no pewasam ne ye wasa." These are major statements which actually push people.
And people believe in them.
That is the sad part of it, and that is why we are working with the churches to realize that the power of suggestion they have to tell you that Ayabansam, nobody can take that out of your mind again, because Sopho say. That is, as a people, the faith, the inner aspects. And this is frightening. This is frightening for us as an organization, as service providers, where a pastor can tell somebody after listening for 2 minutes, and it totally destroys a family. And this person, where else do you go? You are fighting with a God, with a spirit. Can you imagine the stress on this individual? They have nowhere to go. They have no idea of how to heal themselves. And the pastors involved also have no idea how to heal these people. So you have a vicious cycle. Anybody who similarly looks like they panic. The son calls, they panic. The brother is passing by who's supposed to be the one behind it, they panic. So it keeps eating them up. And then they become totally confused. Then we say they get depressed, you say anxiety, neurosis, they get paranoid. They're afraid of everybody and everything.
But so should the church doctrines be redefined? Should I say it that way? Should they be redefined? Don't necessarily bring all your problems to church, but if it's something mental, take to the hospital, right? Because it said God does everything. God is a healer, he's this and he's that. So whatever happens, you bring it to church. So do you think that the church concept or Christianity should be revised?
I think it's the interpretation and the approach to which some ministers, some pastors apply the concept of God. It is not church doctrine in itself which is flawed. It is not the teachings in the Bible which is flawed.
But some churches say God is a healer, God is this and God is that. So whatever happens to you, I mean, it's something spiritual. So come to church and then you'll be healed. You know, that's what I'm talking about.
That is the challenge. Yeah. That is the challenge. If we appreciate, and also the religious, the pastors, that there's nothing wrong with me if I become quiet, I'm not eating, I become disheveled because my wife of 30 years has died. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no demon. It's not a spirit. I am depressed. I am mourning. I need somebody just to sit quietly beside me and allow me to grieve.
But would you agree with me, sir, that the churches are not doing enough in that
direction? The churches are
direction?
definitely not doing enough in that area. At times it is scandalous when a person of God, over a simple issue like mourning, would tell a widower that you are possessed. It is your brother, it is your family which is causing all of this. It is scandalous to say the least. That is where people go for solace. People go for comfort.
Yes, and then we see churches as a family. You have you are in a group, you belong to it. So whatever happens to you, the church comes out and help. Let's get the issue where, your husband died and you left with your kids and all. Then you go to the church, minkwala school fees. And the church says, we don't have money. It drives you insane, or you go mad by them saying that. How do you say, how do you not, I don't know how to put it, but detach yourself from saying, this is the church, this is me, I want to be better, I want to mourn, I want to heal, I'm going to work to raise funds my own to take care of my kids. I'm not necessarily depending on a church for everything.
This is why I say it's important also for the churches to manage the expectation of their members. If you have a church and you create the impression that the church will care for you at all cost, then you have situations.
We give in welfare dues and all. Welfare
dues will come in at different points in time for different types of situations. And all this then has to be clearly defined. Clearly defined. You have an educated congregation. You tell me I pay welfare, I look after you, I expect to be looked after. If not, you define the scope within which welfare will come in and support you. Then people leave disappointed, people lose faith. When I needed, I came.
Go to church
That's
again.
it. Yeah. When I needed, I came. And when I came, you told me, I can't help you. Then they get lost. So now where do I go? Even my church is not prepared to help me. And then some of them will stop going to church and actually flip over to the other side. And then you notice that now they're actually non-believers. They do everything that the church said they shouldn't do to spite the church. That is in a state, again, where that individual's mental health is not secure. This person is responding to a rejection by church.
Now, let's look at the Christian Health Association. Tell us about your mandate.
The Christian Health Association of Ghana has been there for 45, 46 years. We are actually a network of church health services, hospitals, clinics, health programs, which belong to the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference, the members of the Christian Council of Ghana, and the Ghana Pentecostal Council. We have 187 hospitals and clinics throughout the country. Basically, we provide healthcare from...
So let me get this straight.
Yes.
If my hospital, I ask you, I'm going to ask you
Yes.
again. If I have a hospital and it's
Right.
not registered on any maybe Church of Pentecost or the Catholic hospital, I'm not a part of it, but I'm a Christian.
Yes. Yes, we recognize
Really?
institutions, not the individual. So yes, it will have to
But
be
it's
that.
Christian, not,
Yes,
you know.
Christian as a Christian institution, not an individual. So you must be owned and managed by one of these three larger churches and members of it. Yes, so we have hospitals and clinics. A hospital, we provide any other hospital, preventive, curative, institutional care.
Yeah.
We do community health and public health as well.
So why the mental health thing now? I mean, I saw
Yes.
you talking to the religious leaders. Why that now?
You know, even for us as a Church Health Association, our primary concern are the poor, the neglected, and the marginalized. We provide healthcare to everybody, but we are more interested in those smaller groups who nobody is interested in, nobody has time for, people don't think it's interesting to provide that care. So we realized over the years that we are also have become of the world, and we are interested in normal, regular healthcare. Come for malaria treatment, come for TB treatment, and nobody is focusing strongly enough on this small group of the population who are suffering from various types of mental illnesses. And we've decided that no, this is a mistake we have done over the years, and we realize that no, our focus should be on such groups of people who nobody talks about, who nobody has a focus on. And that is why for over the next 5 years, with support from DFID, in partnership with Basic Needs, we intend to scale up our mental health services in our institutions, in the communities, let the churches use their youth groups, women's groups, men's group to educate the public, educate themselves, and better be able to care for persons with mental
my
health.
director is saying time is up. But final question, I've forgotten his name, but there was this foreign researcher who came down and then he was comparing our psychiatric hospitals with that of the other countries, and then he realized that we don't take care of mental people, those who are in a hospital. We don't give them good food and da. What are you doing about it?
The current national policy is to move mental health back into the community, back into homes, unless those who are extremely have got acute stages. Yes, I mean, it's an illness like any other illness. On medication, they're fine. You'll be put on medication, you are fine. It's like hypertensive, you take your medicines, your BP is down. You've got a mental health issue, you're on medication, you are counseled, you are fine. The issue of inpatient care, institutional care, feeding, etc., is a challenge only because of the cost. But where we do have such individuals, who need that, we will provide, and we do provide as best as possible, feeding, inpatient care, cleaning them, giving them baths, etc. as possible. But I would like to state here that the role of the family is critical. It is sad to know that families who have individuals or members who have mental illnesses who come to our institutions leave them. And you can't even find the family again to continue care. Here's again where we want the churches also to use the pulpit to educate their congregation to do that.
All right. Our time is up. I think you should come back again. We have to continue this discussion. So I've been
Thank you
talking to
very
Dr. Gilbert Backel. Thank you so much.
My
He's
pleasure.
the Executive Director for the Christian Health Service Association. Be right back to stay on.